Hello everybody, this is pt.11 and welcome back to some more Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations 2 Prosecutor's Path, the Forgotten Turnabout. In the previous episode we had we went head to head with Justine some more about who the conductor is, and although we could point the finger, we couldn't prove it. And well, we need to solve the other mysteries first, and hopefully things will fall into place. Also, I do apologize for last episode. The recording settings were not set up quite right, so obviously my commentary got drowned out by the game audio, but that's not going to happen again. I fixed it. So if you like what you see, leave a like down below, comment if you have anything to say, subscribe to me if you haven't already, and share with your friends so they can join in on this investigation. We have maybe 3 chances to get through this, so let's get started. We have the error in the autopsy report. If I can actually click on the... there we go. There are no mistakes in Granny's autopsy reports. I've been working with corpses longer than you've been alive. There's no way I'd make a mistake in writing the autopsy report. Ouch. I got nothing to gain from falsifying the autopsy report. Is what she says. See? There's nothing strange at all. Yes, that's right, you know. There's no way she would falsify it, you see? Under the name of the goddess of law, do you swear that this testimony is the truth? Of course, Granny would never tell a lie. We were asking Dr. Young. We do not need to hear it from a third party. I'm not a third party. I'm on Granny's side. If you raise an objection to my testimony, you'd best be prepared yourself, you ex-prosecutor. I will definitely expose the contradiction in the autopsy report. There are no mistakes in Granny's autopsy reports. I remember. Oops. Did you notice anything strange when you were performing the autopsy? I wonder. Huh? What is it, Granny? A strange man came by. Who are you calling strange? He wore some really strange clothes. He even had a frilly thing around his necks. Even though he was about to get canned, he still tried to run amok during the autopsy. I'm talking about you, you frilly red brute. I see, so Mr. Edgeworth is a strange frilly red brute. Kay, please don't only remember odd things about me. It doesn't look like Granny's lying. Miss Jensen is the one who is relaying Dr. Young's words. I'll have to confirm whether or not Miss Jensen is telling us the truth. There are no mistakes, you say? Objection! Okay. That wasn't a bluff. Fine. So you're saying there's no way Dr. Young could have made a mistake? Of course, doctors can't afford to make mistakes. This is a world where just one misdiagnosis can lead to a long career. I know that my granny at least would never... If I did something like that, do you think they'd still let me run a hospital? I've been working with corpses longer than you've been alive. Hold it. So in your long career, you've never once made a mistake. A doctor's only as good as the length of their track record. If we were just talking about the lengthy track record, that former chief prosecutor has one too. And yet his actual abilities don't seem to measure up. I hope that you're not the same as well. Ouch, that's a low blow, you know. But you know, Edgeworth, I don't make mistakes either, you see. Because you see, before I can make a mistake, those around me will have already made it instead. You see, I don't have time for mistakes. It's quite amazing, you know. It must be karma. You can't compare a chief prosecutor with a doctor. You really can't. There's no way I'd make a mistake in writing the autopsy report. Hold it. The victim wore this raincoat after suffering a blow to the head, and yet there was not a single drop of blood on the front of the raincoat. Therefore, it is impossible for the head wound to have been post-mortem. Well that's... Oh. I don't need you to tell me that. That's what I wrote down from the very beginning. The autopsy report says the head wound was post-mortem. That's completely different. Yeah. I relayed to Karen what to put down in the autopsy report. After that, it was none of my beeswax. Relayed to Karen? Please elaborate on that. I relayed everything to Karen. After that, it was none of my beeswax. Hold it. I would like to verify once again what you saw when you examined the body. Like we said. Ouch. Oh, well, about that. She was done in a thump to her noggin. Done in by a thump to her noggin. Dr. Young, do you know when that happened? Do you know when that I'm sorry, I'm going through so many female voices right now. Before she died, of course, the wounds on her chest were post-mortem. That's what I relayed to Karen, so that's what should have been written in the report. That's what you relayed to her, huh? I'm finally beginning to see the truth. I got nothing to gain from false... Alright, let's just do this. Oops. Damn it. I always press the wrong button. Oh, god damn it. Oh! That's weird. The music didn't cut out as usual. Dr. Young, please confirm what the autopsy report says with your own eyes. I'll read it out for you. Ow! This autopsy report wasn't written by me. What? What do you mean? I don't know. But Granny, I can't say that. Miss Jensen, if you're trying to keep the truth in the dark, then... In place of the goddess of law, I shall hear your confession. Judge Courtney is talking with Dr. Young in private. What? Is that true? Understood. I shall convey your words to everyone else, Dr. Young. I properly relayed the autopsy report orally to that child. Seems my granddaughter must have mucked it up when she was writing it down. Wow, she mimicked her voice... Oh, whoops. Perfectly. There's no need for her to go that far, though. In other words, the contents of the autopsy report had been falsified. By your hand, Miss Jensen. With that, we've proven that the wound on her head came first, followed by her chest wound. Miss Jensen, why did you falsify the autopsy report? Hold on a sec, she never said she falsified it, you know. She just made a teeny tiny mistake when she wrote it down. Post-mortem and ante-mortem sound kind of similar, you know. They're complete opposites. That's the very definition of falsification. Miss Jensen, why would you lie? Oh. I want you to tell me too. Why would you do something like that? Granny, but Because you falsified the autopsy report, Kay fell under suspicion. Tell me why you did it. I can't say. I just can't say it. Not I don't want to say it, but I can't say. You're all a bunch of bullies, you know. Ganging up on this poor girl who loves her grandmother so. She's totally unrelated to this. I think we can forgive her for one tiny mistake. That would do. Aren't you the one with the most to lose if she testifies? What are you saying? You see, as former prosecutor, you'll have to speak a little more clearly, you know. Very well, as you wish. Then I shall answer clearly. Miss Jensen played an essential role in this case. She was an accomplice. Miss Jensen falsified the autopsy report in order to assist the true culprit. Ouch! A girl is an accomplice. What's your basis for that claim? It was impossible for a single person to commit this crime in the first place. The crime could not have been committed without at least 2 people, namely because the report couldn't have been, well, the report could have been faked. The number of people wouldn't match. Yeah, that's, well, Are we talking the number of people? If the conductor was the culprit and one of the auction guests was the victim, it would contradict the witness's testimony that there was 11 people after the incident. What now? You got a problem with my testimony? Not at all. Rather, it is because I believe your testimony that's why your accomplice must exist. So you still won't admit that your reasoning is wrong? Up until now, we had not even considered the possibility of an accomplice. However, if there had been an accomplice, it changes the entire story completely. If the accomplice took the murder auction guest's place, then the number of people remains 11. Oh, I can see now, so that's what you're thinking. But you know, wouldn't that have been quickly discovered? Miss Jensen and the victim have similar physiques. If she wore the victim's mask, she could easily have taken her place. Miss Jensen, did you switch places with the victim? I wouldn't... Who was the conductor? In other words, tell me who was the true culprit. I can't. I mean, that would also cause trouble for Granny. But Granny... I'll accept whatever wrongs you may have done. Just tell me everything. Granny... Okay. Okay. As I thought, it appears you really were the accomplice. Miss Jensen, why? Miss Jensen, would you please tell us? Yes. It's okay, Granny. I'm fine now. I switched places with the victim, Miss Crane. So you admit to being the conductor's accomplice? Yes. I helped out the conductor. I don't really know why, but for some reason, the conductor was expecting to be attacked by Miss Crane. The conductor expected to be an attack from the victim. They were so sure it was going to happen that they came up with a plan to counter it. A way to beat the victim at her own game, and that's when I was called in. I was told to wait in the storeroom before the auction began. Whoa there, you ain't fooling my eyes. You were waiting in the storeroom, I reckon I would have bumped into you. After all, I'd been up in the storeroom the entire auction. I'm telling the truth. I wonder about that, you know. Can we really believe a girl who would falsify a report? Huh. There should have been many places to hide in that storeroom. Then by all means, tell me, where did our little nurse hide? The place in the storeroom where Miss Jensen hid was none other than the thing that I've been trying to go for the entire time, the costume trunk. Take that! She hid inside the costume trunk. A costume trunk, huh? Now that you mention it, the box was already there before I snuck in. I figured I would hide there myself, but it was wrapped up nice and snug with the train. And it was locked too, so I had to give it up. I suspect that when you sneaked into the room, Miss Jensen was already inside the trunk. Yes, it would have been bad if one of the guests from the auction had opened the lid. After instructing me to hide inside, the conductor wrapped a chain around the costume trunk. I think they went downstairs using the lift shortly thereafter. It was right before the auction. So then, when the auction began, only you and Miss Hart were in the storeroom. Yes, that should be right. The auction had been going on as usual, but when a certain participant made the winning bid, the conductor committed the crime. Miss Hart must have heard the altercation that occurred then. You betcha, I was trembling behind the statue the whole time, though. Following the altercation, Jill Crane was murdered. After killing Jill Crane, the conductor carried her body to the costume trunk. A Miss Jensen, who had been hiding in the trunk, was made to take Miss Crane's place. The victim's body was placed inside the costume trunk. The conductor then took Miss Jensen, who had been made to look like Jill Crane, and returned to the auction hall as if nothing had happened. Was this roughly what happened in the storeroom during the incident? Yes, that's right. Pulling the old switcheroo with one of the auction guests. Ain't that impossible? That gal and the murder victim are two completely different people, you know? Don't you reckon one of the other participants would have noticed and caused a ruckus? No, not at all. The reason they didn't notice the switch was because... I want to say she stole the victim's clothes. From what I can tell, Miss Jensen and the victim appear to have a similar physique. Furthermore, there was a rule requiring a mask to be worn during the auction. If the clothes were the same, I doubt anyone would have noticed she was a different person. Yes, I blended right in. I borrowed Miss Crane's clothes and— Ouch! You mustn't embarrass the dead like that. I know. I also thought it was pretty heartless to leave her exposed like that. So then when the conductor wasn't looking, I covered her up in the raincoat that was up for the auction. So she was the one who put the red raincoat on the victim. And then the auction resumed as if nothing happened. I reckon I took the picture of her in the red raincoat after that. That make all the facts line up. After I took the photo, I went over to the lift to peek down below. I witnessed the 11 up participants, then I hightailed it back to behind the statue. Don't tell me, you were hiding there the entire time until we found you. No, that's... how should I put it? What is it? Did something happen? I didn't mention it before, but after that I might have dozed off a little. To be more precise, I fainted? Well, something like that. So something did happen! It ain't no big deal. Kinda embarrassing to say, though. There was this huge thump all of a sudden. I was a little surprised by that. Then right after that I had witnessed the murder. Wait. Then right after that it was right after I had just witnessed the murder, so I was shaking in my boots. My heart sort of tightened up and I was off to La La Land. When I woke up, it was already the next day, around the time y'all came to the storeroom. I see, so there was a large sound. Miss Hart, I take it you do not know what transpired in the storeroom beyond this point. I guess, but after the auction, all the masks were properly returned. So I reckon the participants had exited through the storeroom just like I done said. Miss Jensen, what were your actions after the auction resumed? I took the victim's place and participated in the auction. The conductor instructed me to win the bid for the costume trunk, because the body was inside of it. It would have been bad if another auction guest won the bid for it. You didn't realize the box was empty. No, we only found it out when I came up to the storeroom to pay the bill. The conductor was with me and told me to go search for her immediately. And then I found another girl collapsed in front of the ladder. Okay. Yes, she probably fell down from the roof and lost consciousness. Maybe the victim had left the hatch open when she was up on the rooftop. I understand now. Kay was surprised at seeing the collapsed victim and did not notice the open hatch. She must have missed her footing and fell down into the storeroom. Miss Hart, I have determined the sound that made you faint. It was likely the sound of Kay falling on the storeroom floor. That might have been it, though I reckon it'd be kind of pathetic to faint over something like that. When Miss Jensen found the unconscious Kay, Miss Hart was already unconscious behind the statue. The situation is becoming clearer to me. Miss Jensen, please continue your story. After I found Kay and the victim, I put them both in the trunk. If the customers at the auction found out, there would have been a huge commotion. Was this an order from the conductor as well? Yes, it was. But since I secretly decided to put the raincoat on Miss Crane, I had just disposed of the raincoat without the conductor noticing. So the conductor didn't anticipate the raincoat becoming another piece of evidence. And finally, we dressed Miss Crane in the spare conductor's outfit. I see. In doing so, you made the victim appear as if she was the conductor. In the end, the auction ended without anyone noticing anything. Miss Jensen, your crimes have become clear. If you know anything else, please hold nothing back. I want to help you more, but that's all I know. If I had to say, there is just one thing that bothers me. When I took Miss Crane's place, I borrowed her clothes. But there was no way for me to borrow her hair. Ow! What kind of coroner's assistant goes around stealing a corpse's hair? I would think that robbing the deceased of their clothes would be questionable enough. Both the color and the length of our hair is different, so I was worried about how to disguise it. However, the conductor even had a wig prepared for me. In fact, he had 2 of them. Inside the costume trunk, there were both a straight wig and a wavy wig. 2 wigs? Why were there 2? Who knows? Maybe it was a precaution in case the victim had changed her hairstyle. I ended up using a straight wig to match Miss Crane's hair. So that means that the wavy wig was left unused. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of testimony. A lot of dialogue. Holy crap. Is that really all you know? Yes. Yep, that's really all I know. So that means you don't know who the conductor is. I'm sorry. I only knew that person as the auction conductor. I never saw that person without a mask on. The conductor seemed to be on guard towards everybody. Ugh, at this rate. Edgeworth, is that all you got? Even if that little nurse is an accomplice, it changes absolutely nothing, you know. In the end, the true culprit is still Kay Faraday. All you did was add another criminal, you know. The rule of law cannot be overturned, at least not for your sake. Is this as far as I go? Am I unable to save Kay? Where did you come from? Francisca, why are you here? Didn't I tell you, Miles Edgeworth? Wherever there's a case, I will follow. Prosecutor Von Karma, your hard work is best appreciated. However, don't get the wrong idea. I only came to find out the truth behind what happened to Kay Faraday. I don't plan on forgiving you for abandoning the prosecutor's path. I understand. You should thank your former subordinate. He gave me some valuable information which may save Kay Faraday. Detective Gumshoe did. Listen well, Miles Edgeworth. This will be the final piece of evidence. Jill Crane suffered a wound on her head first. Well, somebody say something. Well, I hate to say it, but we already proved that. Already proved? Yes, well, just a few minutes ago— Ow! You should have told me sooner! You're the one who barged in here and started talking. Well then, does this mean you found out what the murder weapon was already? No, not yet. Is that so? In that case, listen well. The victim was struck on the head with a cylindrical object. The wound on the chest was suffered post-mortem. A cylindrical murder weapon. Excuse me. You know, this report of yours, I trust it's accurate, of course. These were results of 2 independent autopsies carried out by 2 respectable doctors. That's reassuring, but it's too bad you have no right to investigate this case. Interpol is after the black market auctions, and I'm the prosecutor in charge of the investigation. The victim participated in the auction, therefore it's only natural for me to investigate. Especially now that she's been murdered. I see. Clever girl, little Von Karma. Then it has to be settled. It has been settled that the victim died from blunt force trauma to the head. Unfortunately, the murder weapon has yet to be found. Just knowing the shape of the murder weapon gives me an idea of what it might be. Hey, it's my investigation. In my investigation, we didn't find any other murder weapons, you know? If you consider the conductor's possession and the crime scene, the answer should be clear. The blunt cylindrical object used in the auction hall was an auction gavel. Take that! It was something the conductor had in their hands during the auction. Namely an auction gavel. An auction gavel? We didn't find anything like that. If the culprit is the conductor, it is possible that the gavel may be the murder weapon. However, that alone is not the reason enough, wouldn't you agree? Of course, I have proof to back it up. This piece of evidence proves that the murder weapon is the auction gavel. What? Is it, I would believe so, but can't be too certain, can we? Take that! Yeah. According to Miss Hart's testimony, after the victim had been murdered, it seems she suddenly stopped hearing the sound of the gavel during the auction. However, she had been able to hear it up until then. Why was that, you ask? It's because it had been used as the murder weapon and was covered in the victim's blood. It became necessary to dispose of it, isn't that right? Blaze the best! I'll have a search for the murder weapon performed immediately. Well, good luck with that, you know. You've got to work as hard as you can while you're young, you see. He's completely confident that we won't find it. Well then, while the search for the murder weapon continues, I'll hereby call for a brief recess. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of dinner. So much mustard, too much mustard. Okay. I think that's a good enough time as any to to finish this up. So, in the next episode of Miles Edgeworth AA2 Investigations 2 Prosecutor's Path, The Forgotten Turnabout, we are going to find out what happened after the brief recess. I will see you guys later.